Here's why I think these films flopped in the theaters. Part 1. The release of Ridley Scott's The Last Duel was an interesting one, coming out during a time when the pandemic was just starting to loosen up and people were allowed to go back to theaters. It had a star-studded cast of Jodie Comer, hot off the presses from Free Guy. You have Adam Driver, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and it had a respectable budget of $100 million. Now, $100 million isn't $100 million in 1990 or in 2000, but it still gets you a somewhat decent way. And with this being basically mostly practical effects, a historical action drama, it sounded extremely enticing. It's directed by Ridley Scott, screenplay done by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck themselves. But as people were starting to read about what the movie was actually going to be about, I just think when it came out at that time, especially with them saying that there's going to be multiple scenes of SA, the premise is such a downer that I don't think audiences were ready to kind of watch something that heavy, especially after the pandemic. And it showed at the box office the same year. See, look at the top movies that made most money. Spider-Man No Way Home, No Time to Die, Fast and Furious film, Venom 3, Godzilla vs. Kong, Shang-Chi. Those films, and even Dune made a decent amount of money too. I feel like if this was made today, especially with the rising of a lot of these A24 films getting the press it is getting now, I feel like it would have done better today. But again, we saw Ridley Scott's recent output with Napoleon, and that didn't do well either, costing up to $200 million to make roughly, and barely making its money back. And it's not even like it's a bad film. This was told very maturely. I was surprised on how that topic was touched in the first place. The performances were absolutely fantastic from everyone across the board, and the film itself looks absolutely beautiful. I just feel like with how people were feeling back then, with inflation through the roof, people losing their jobs, for the general public to spend all that money for an outing like going to the movie theaters, seeing a film like No Way Home, with its comedy and the fun action, getting to see your childhood favorite heroes back on the big screen, made a lot more sense than The Last Duel, even though Last Duel was a fantastic film as well.